friends, Christy here over at Crafty Christy's Creations, and today we're getting ready for Easter. I'm going to show you how to use your Infusible Ink Markers to make some adorable Easter socks perfect for Easter baskets. So let me show you everything we need to get started and then we'll jump on into Silhouette. So to make this project, you're going to need some copy paper that you'll be drawing on with your Infusible Ink Markers. You'll need some kind of pen tool holder for your machine. You'll need some heavy cardstock to put in between the socks, or some cardboard to put between the front and the back of the sock to prevent it from bleeding through. You'll need a pair of socks. These are 97% polyester. I picked these up at the dollar store in a pair of 2. Any kind of performance, dry fit type of sock should be mostly polyester, which is what you need for the infusible ink to really soak into the fibers. You'll need a lint roller to get all of the lint off of your socks. You'll need some butcher paper. I'm using parchment paper. It seems to be okay. A trusty pair of scissors, and then of course a heat press or a Cricut Easy Press. So let's jump into Silhouette and I will show you how we get started.
Okay, so here we are in Silhouette, and I've got my Easter bundle here, which you can grab for free on my website at craftychristyscreations.com/free-svg, and I'll leave a link below. But we're going to use this one to make our design for our socks. And I've already measured out kind of the area of the bottom of my sock. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to make a rectangle so that I know kind of the area that I have to work with. And I'm going to unlock my ratio aspect, and I've got about 3 inches wide and 5 inches tall. And I'm just going to use this to stay within those parameters. I'm going to hit V on my computer, or I can come up here and hit that white arrow again to get out of making those boxes. And then I'm going to go ahead and pull all of this kind of off to the side so we can work on our mat. And then I'm going to pull this on, and I'm going to go ahead and change my media size to letter, because we're going to be doing this on copy paper, which is letter sized. And then the colors I have to work with today are brown, blue, green, black, and pink. So I am just going to use this little bunny here. And then I'm going to use Happy Easter. I'm going to make this real simple. And that will pretty much fit in there, but I'm going to go ahead and shrink this bunny down a little bit. So I'm going to hold down Shift while I shrink. Do you find this helpful? Make sure you smash that like button and hit subscribe so you don't miss out on any future Silhouette Studio tutorials. Now let's jump back in where we left off. Shift and Alt. And that will kind of shrink it into the middle. And I'm going to put my bunny down here. The measurement that I took pretty much measures from just under the heel all the way to the tip of the toes. So I want a little room in there so that I'm not using up that entire space. I think that looks pretty good. And then I'm just going to grab, holding down Shift, grabbing my Happy Easter and my bunny, and I'm just going to make sure those are aligned. All right, that is it. That's all I'm going to do. And because I have 2 pairs of socks, or 2 socks, I guess, in a pair, I've selected all of my design here. I'm going to hold down Alt or Option on a Mac. I'm going to click and drag a second copy. That way I have one for each pair, for each sock. And then I am going to get rid of these little rectangles. I don't actually need those. That was just to help us with the sizing. And now what I'm going to do on my send panel, I've already got this set up for copy paper. And instead of cutting, I'm going to sketch, because I've got the Infusible Ink sketch pens, and you can see it's only going to sketch the outline, which is fine, because I can go ahead and color that in myself. So I'm going to go ahead and set everything up on my silhouette, and I'll be right back. All right, I've got all my supplies here, and then here are my Cricut Infusible Ink Markers. And I'm gonna do two different colors here. So actually, what I'm gonna do on the computer is pick just the black first, and then I'll outline that, and then I can make the other ones as a no sketch. And then when that's done, I can go ahead and switch, grab the Happy Easter, make that a no sketch, and then make the sketch only for the bunnies, and I can do that in pink. And then I've got my pen holders here that will go into the place where my ratchet blade goes, and I've got my copy paper and then my mat here. So let's go ahead, let's open these guys up. All right, I've got my black and my pink, and then what I do with my pen holder, I've got the large one in here now, and it's got the little piece on the bottom. So I'm going to just do a little test first. You put that in there, you see kind of where it goes. That feels pretty big. I'm gonna switch this one out. I might be able to get away with the small, which all right, this is the medium one. Let's see how this works. That feels better. So then when I put it in here, I'm just kind of pushing and seeing the tip comes out the bottom. I just kind of press that down and see where that goes, and then twist in the pen holder. And that's holding my pen pretty snug there. So that is the correct one. So we're using the medium, and you can see that'll just come out the bottom. So now I'm gonna take this, and I take the little cap off. I'm gonna put this in my pen holder, put that on there tightly. And then this is a good used mat, so my copy paper should be able to come off of this mat here pretty easily. Go ahead and press that on there. We'll load this into the machine. And then let's see if you can see on the computer what I'm doing here. So on here, I'm gonna go ahead and click on my bunny and hit no sketch, and my other bunny, no sketch. So it's only gonna sketch my Happy Easter. And now I've got my copy paper selected, my sketch pen. We're sketching the Happy Easter, and then I'm gonna go ahead and send that to the machine. Okay, the Happy Easter part is done. So now I'm going to go ahead and undo this. I'm going to loosen here, pull out my black marker, and then now I'll attach my pink marker. I'll put that on. Again, push this down in, put my little lid back on here. I like to set it on the surface so I can just know how far I'm pushing it in. Go ahead and tighten that up. Whoop. Okay, that feels good there. We'll go ahead and stick this one in. We'll lock. And then over here on the computer, now I'm gonna click and select my Happy Easters and hit no sketch. And then I'm gonna click on the bunnies and hit sketch. And it's only sketching the outlines. So again, we can come back down here. And then now I'm gonna go ahead and hit send, and it's gonna draw our bunnies.
that's all done. Go ahead and pull this out first. We can unload. And there are the infusible ink pieces that are going to go on our socks. I actually am really liking the way that this turned out. I think I'm going to leave it just like this and not fill them in. Maybe what I'll do is I'll color one and then not color the other, and then we can just decide which one we like best. So I'm going to go ahead and just leave it on my mat for right now. That's not a big deal, and I'm just going to quickly color one of these in. So I'm just going to pull my black marker back out here, and I'm just going to try to stay nice and within these lines, and I'm trying to not make my lines too much darker than the outline, so I'm trying to just do kind of one quick line through there. We'll see how evenly this will, how much the color will really stay nice and even. If we'll notice where things are overlapping, if it'll be a darker color. Okay, there's our bunny. And now I'm going to go ahead and peel this off the mat. Cover this back up. And then I'm going to just do a rough cut on these. I don't want to risk them bleeding, so I'm just going to kind of just do a real quick rough cut. And then I'm just going to cut this one a little bit smaller here. Okay, so there are our rough cut bunnies. We'll go ahead and get the heat press set up and get going. All right, so I have my heat press all ready to go here. We're set up for 385 degrees for 40 seconds, and that is based on the recommendations of the Cricut Heat Guide, which you can find online. And I'm going to use my flat desk surface here. I don't have a Cricut pressing pad. And I found out last time that my ironing board is not level, so that was not going to help. I've got my two pieces here that we're going to use. I've got some parchment paper and then some cardstock that I'm going to put in my socks here to keep them flat and protect it from bleeding through to the other side. And these are athletic socks. They are 98% polyester with some spandex blend to them. So anything with the higher amount of polyester, the better this is going to work. So these are perfect. I picked these up from the Dollar Tree in a set of 2. So I'm going to go ahead and open these up. We're going to put this on the bottom of our socks. So I'm just going to open up my socks here so that this kind of sewn fold line is all on the front of my sock. And then we'll just go ahead and press that line out of them and just try to get them nice and flat. And then I can work on cutting down my cardstock to fit inside. So we'll just start with that. I'm going to move all of this out of the way so I can press these without having any issues. And I'm not going to use anything right now. I'm just kind of using this as an iron, so it's really not a big deal. Okay, just to try to flatten those out a little bit. That helped. And let's see. I think. So I've just got this cardstock. This is a big piece that I just folded in half. And I'm just going to cut a little chunk out of there and try to stuff that in here. This will also help keep my sock nice and straight once I get this in here. Okay, so there is the front line on my sock there. So I know that's on there. I'm gonna go ahead and pull it all the way up, kind of past my heel. That's also, like I said, gonna help flatten out. And I'm just gonna do one sock at a time. So we're gonna start with the one that's just the outlined. And I want you to be able to read it when your toes are up. And I did not, I forgot to mirror my design. So let me go back and do this again to mirror my Happy Easter, so that way when it's on here, you can actually read it. Okay, I have redone these, so now that my designs are mirrored, so they should read backwards when you're looking at them, but that way when you put them down on your sock, it will go ahead and read the correct way. So now looking at this and looking at my sock, like I was saying, I want you, when your feet are up like this, I want you to be able to read what it says. So that means I'm gonna make this bunny be down by the heel and the words up by the top of the toes. So this is my heel down here. These are my toes up here. Again, I'm gonna go ahead and give this a quick little press here. That's gonna get out the moisture and make sure everything's nice and flat. And let me go ahead and lint roll as well. And we'll go ahead and do a quick little lint roll on there. That looks good. Just want to make sure this is nice and even in there. That looks great. I'm going to go ahead again, bunny down by the heels and Happy Easter up by the toes. And get that on there. And then I'm just going to use my butcher paper, or this is parchment paper, over that. I've got my cardstock in between. And then I'm gonna bring my heat press over, set that on there, try not to move anything. And then I'm gonna go ahead 380 degrees for 40 seconds. And we're just gonna do some light pressure here. Okay, this one is done. I'm gonna lift straight up. Set that over here. I'm gonna remove my parchment paper very carefully. And you can see it actually, the design went through onto my parchment paper. So I'm gonna use a new sheet of parchment paper for my other sock. This I'm gonna let sit here and cool down. So we're going to go ahead and cut another piece here of cardstock to go in our other sock. We'll go ahead and stick this in here. And there is some moisture here on the table, so it's definitely a little bit warm in here. That's why we want to go ahead and dry it out. Okay, I've got my cardstock in there from the toes, trying to get that nice and flat there. We'll go ahead and give this a quick press just to get all the lines out, get all of the heat and the moisture out. Go ahead and lint roll. And then I just want to make sure, I feel like once I press it, I can kind of re-establish where my cardstock is sitting in the sock. And kind of better know where the heel's at. That looks better. Let's go ahead and grab another piece of parchment paper. I like to make sure my parchment paper is going to cover the entire heat press. I don't want there to be any issues kind of anywhere on there. I think I like the way that looks. That looks good. All right, so again, bunny is going to be at the toes, or at the heel up here, and then the words are going to be down here at the toes. And just trying to get that centered on there. Okay, I like the way that looks. We'll go ahead and cover with our parchment paper. All right, we'll bring over the heat press, 385, 40 seconds, light pressure. And you want to let everything rise back to room temperature before you peel it. That gives the infusible ink time to switch from a gas, that's what the heat does, makes it turn into a gas. And then you let it cool down and it gets back into a solid, and that is kind of its chance to really solidify into the fabric and just into the fibers of the fabric to really make it stay in the fabric so it'll hold up through the different washes. So again, you want to let that go ahead and back to room temperature before you peel away your transfer. Let that straight up. I can peel off my butcher paper, and again, we're just going to let that sit and cool down. Check this one here. All right, that feels like it's back to room temperature. I'm going to go ahead and lift that up. And oh my gosh, how cute is that? So cute. I can't wait to see what this one looks like. It's going to take a few minutes before we can take a look at it. So we can go ahead and just peel this out. And oh my gosh, so this is your heel right here. And then, you know, you figure you put your shoe, you put your foot in there, and then when you go, you're lounging around and you have your feet up, and it is going to be completely legible. So super cute. And then we'll just have to wait on this one to see when we can go ahead and peel that one off, and then we'll compare the colored in versus the outline. All right, this one feels like it's back to room temperature. We'll go ahead and lift this one off. And you can see there's still quite a bit of color left on these, but they look fantastic. So I'm gonna go ahead and take the cardstock out. Now I noticed the transfer did go through onto my butcher paper, but my cardstock, it did not go through the inside. So my cardstock is completely fine. But there you go. So here are our cute socks. Boy, I think I really like the look of both of them. I think the filled in color is a lot easier to see though. And you can't really tell the way that I colored it. You can kind of see some of the lines, but for the most part, it's a good solid fill. And, you know, it just looks like it's nice and colored in. So that is how you can make some lovely hoppy Easter socks using Infusible Ink Markers.